Ooh, I don't know about you guys, but that intro got me a little bit jazzed up. That was the highlight reel I put together from our visit to Ohio Woodburners' first annual International Firewood Expo. We did not go over empty-handed and we did not come home empty-handed. I made one of our custom laser engraved signs with his International Firewood Expo logo on there to raffle off. I put Joe's logo on there as well as our logo. Kind of a win-win situation there. Good publicity for our laser engraving business as well as helps Joe out with his event. Joe's been a friend of the channel now for 4 or 5 years now, and anything we can do to help him out with his event, first inaugural International Firewood Expo, it was a huge hit. What we brought home here is something for the wood yard. Let's go ahead and get it unboxed, assembled, and then we'll show you what it is. All right, so we got it all unboxed here, and if you can't tell what it is by now, this is very clearly a smokeless fire pit made by Wolfe Manufacturing. And the reason that I wanted this is because if you've ever seen smokeless fire pits in the past, a lot of them, the standard size is just too small. I mean, a lot of the manufacturers will make a larger unit, but the standard size, and I've bought one in the past that I think it was like 19 inches. It was a 19-inch fire pit, which, you know, we cut all of our firewood at 16 inches. So that's just barely enough to get one piece of wood across the center. Whereas this one is 30 inches wide. So you can get a nice big hot fire. You can make a full log cabin with full 16-inch firewood in here and still have room to spare. But what I want this for is for burning the slash and trash that comes off of the Easton Made 37D and the Yappa firewood processor. And if you don't watch, that stuff builds up on you very quick. So I want to have this for down in the wood yard, get a fire going when I start making firewood, and I can just continue to clean up as I'm going. Any of the stuff that's coming off every once in a while, just stop over, throw some more on the fire. Plus, it's nice to have a fire going while you're making firewood. I don't know, there's something about that campfire smell that just really kind of gets you in the mood to make more firewood. So let's go ahead and get this assembled real quick. I'll give you just a quick gist of what's all involved so you know what to expect. Again, because this is a 30-inch fire pit, it comes in smaller pieces that needs assembled for shipping purposes. But again, I'd rather assemble it myself and have a larger fire pit than have one of those small ones that you can't hardly burn a 16-inch piece of firewood in. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and flip all of these pieces upside down and do the bottom first. Each one of these panels is 1/4 of the fire pit, and they have these little hooks and loops on them that connect each one together. So we'll just go around and connect all of those. Now, once you get to this point, you'll notice that there is a good bit of slop in here, and that's just to give you enough play to get the top and bottom ring screwed on. So you'll notice this is going to act as a strap to stitch together each one of the seams in between the panels. And there's 4 Allen key screws that will go in there. And that little bit of slop is to give you enough play to get everything lined up and kind of loose fit together before you start going in and tightening everything up. But once you get everything tightened up, it should hold together very nice and tight and sturdy. There, now everything is a lot tighter together. We still need to tighten everything down, but we've got all of the Allen bolts started. So there's still a little bit of jiggle to it, but once we get everything tightened down, it should really firm this up. There we go. Now the jiggle is completely gone from this. Now we got to flip it over and do the same thing on the top side. There we go. Assembly is complete. I want to say that took all of 10 minutes. Not that big of a deal. Now let's get it taken down to the wood yard and get it set up. All right, so this is going to be the first run in the new wood yard. Kind of start testing things out, seeing how we like the layout. Again, this is all going to be subject to change. May end up moving some things around. But we've got the Yappa live deck log pile sitting over there. Log pile for the Easton Made 37D. And this is kind of where I just picked out a rough spot to put this new Wolfe smokeless fire pit, kind of still central to both pieces of equipment, so I can pull scrap off the 37D and I can pull scrap off of the Yappa Firewood processor, but it's still not in the way. So I think that'll be a good place to set it up. Let's go ahead and get a fire going, and then we'll start making some firewood. Now you might be able to tell there is a little bit of discoloration around the inside of the ring. Lana and I gave it a quick test fire last night up at the house just to see how it worked. And I'll tell you what, this thing is awesome. It eats through the wood because it's such a big pit. You can fit so much in there, and it has so much oxygen flow going through it. You can actually hear the draft going through the fire pit itself, which is really cool. But it does eat through the wood, which is going to be perfect for down here when I'm trying to eat through the wood, burning up scraps and stuff. For a fire pit up at the house, that just means hotter fires. People sitting around the fire are going to be warmer, less smoke. And this thing, once you get it up to temperature, it is virtually smokeless. I know compared to our traditional fire ring that we have, this was much more enjoyable to sit around. I have always said that smokeless fire pits are kind of a gimmick, because as long as you're burning good dry wood, your fire should be smokeless anyway. But I have not honestly found that to be the case. Even in our fire pit up there, burning good dry wood, there's still a little bit of smoke, and if you get just the slightest breeze, it'll chase people out from around the fire. This thing truly was smokeless last night and enjoyable to sit around. Lana and I both had just showered, and I was kind of worried we were going to have to shower again after getting this thing going and sitting around it, but literally we didn't smell like campfire smoke when we came in. It was kind of nice. Now again, they call these things smokeless fire pits, but they're not truly smokeless. They do smoke upon startup and as they're burning down. But once again, once you get it up to temperature and you've got good wood in there, they should be relatively pretty much smoke free. While that's catching, let's go ahead and start cutting some firewood up. Literally within 5 minutes, this thing is ripping and completely smokeless. All the more time it took me to go ahead and mark those first 4 logs there. This thing is caught and ready to go. We need to hurry up and make some scrap to get in there and keep feeding it. So I think that's a good place to stop. We got one full basket. I definitely need to take a page out of Jake's playbook from Dude Ranch DIY and get 4 baskets stacked up here and have the center of the conveyor come right down on the corner of all 4 of those baskets so it spreads evenly. That way I can do more at one time without having to stop. But let's go ahead and pull out our little trays from underneath the Easton Made 37D and see how much scrap we got to get burned up. Yeah, see, this is the stuff you want to stay on top of. If not, it'll pile up on you so fast and you'll run out of places to do something with it. This one's never quite as bad. It's always the one that's right underneath the splitter that gets the most stuff. So we threw a bunch of bigger hunks and offcuts from the Yappa Firewood processor that were either too big or wouldn't split in there, and I was kind of thinking that throwing big hunks in like that might not burn as well, but as you can see right now, this fire is still smokeless even with those bigger hunks in there. I know once I throw this stuff in there, we're gonna have a pretty good fire and there's not gonna be an ounce of smoke. I think I need a bigger shovel. Now again, you will get smoke as it's catching, but once it's caught, it should clear right up. And just like that, within a couple of minutes, we are back to being smokeless. So you can see what happens here. If you look down there, you can still see a little bit of smoke coming right off of the wood, but by the time it rises up and hits the flame and oxygen from the rest of the fire, it then combusts and you're left with no smoke. So right here, you can see that secondary combustion taking place, which is what smokeless fire pits are known for. How they work is the outer jacket going around the outside of the fire pit is double lined. There's an outer layer and an inner layer, and all of the cutouts for the Wolfe MFG logo there actually allow oxygen to get sucked in. They draft in, they come up. As they come up the sides, they get preheated up to a very hot temperature, and then you have preheated oxygen that comes out these holes around the upper ring. Very similar to how your new EPA rated wood stoves work. It looks like natural gas or propane coming out of all those holes around the upper ring, but it's not. And when that preheated oxygen hits that smoke, it allows that smoke to combust. So not only do you have the wood burning, but you also have the smoke coming off the fire that is burning as well, providing more heat, burning more efficiently, and creating less smoke. So this thing is going to be an awesome addition down here in the wood yard to stay ahead of all the scrap that comes off of the 37D and the Yappa Firewood processor. So I mentioned last night, Lana and I gave this thing its inaugural fire up by the house, and I'm honestly considering getting a second one. That's how much we enjoyed it. One for up at the house for family campfires, and one down here in the wood yard for burning trash. It's a pretty universal multi-purpose fire pit. I will leave a link in the description below if anybody's interested in checking these things out, wolferidgemfg.com. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.